Oi oi, it's the Saturday sit down this week, doing it on a Saturday rather than a Sunday, seeing as the exciting games that happen. So, Francis Maxwell back with you as I go on Twitter, Francis_Maxwell and Francis Maxwell host. The shameless plugs will keep coming if you keep following, so you can expect it. Two games to really talk about in this weekend's action in the Premier League already. Starting with the earlier game, bear with me if you're a Manchester United fan and you're here to expect me to just get all up and joyful about a 4-1 victory over Leicester City. You're kind of right, because I will get happy over that, but you're not completely right, because I'm going to spare you me jumping on the bandwagon and saying that everything's fixed, because, as I've stated before, they weren't really tested in that area that is of still some concern for me, and that is the defensive midfield position. Herrera stepped in today, Wayne Rooney was dropped, and it all looked to go to plan in the first half, with Manchester United banging in 4 goals. It seems like this weekend, specifically today, was a day for first half goals, because Arsenal banged in 3 in their game and Manchester United banged in 4, but then didn't add to it in the second half. So let's get the positives out there. Manchester United's movement, fluidity, confidence going forward. Old Trafford was fun. This is a stadium that last year made Rikers Island in New York look like the circus. It was dreary, to say the least, last year at times going forward, and at points this year. But it looked fun. Paul Pogba was linking up with Zlatan Ibrahimovic. Nice little dinks in behind. He was moving a little higher forward. Herrera and Mata were alternating, seeing who was picking up possession deep. So they weren't so structured in their ways. They weren't so side by side the way Fellaini and Pogba had been. And Leicester found it very difficult to pick him up. What they also found it difficult to pick up is that Rashford wasn't playing as a natural wide man in that 4-2-3-1. He was playing as a second striker alongside Zlatan, so he had a clear chance where Zlatan broke free, bent it in behind the defenders with the outside of their right foot, and then Rashford unluckily put it way over the bar. But as we see, when Rashford grabbed his goal, he was tucking in non-stop, and this is what I talked about many a times when it comes to Marcus Rashford. You can play him in that front 3 just behind the strikers, but you're going to need to get the best out of him by pushing him into that kind of second striker role, because that's where he is very, very useful. His pace, his positional sense, his finishing, his confidence for such a young lad. These are all things that Mourinho just has to succumb to. You can't play him out there as if the way you'd play maybe Martial on the left side and he starts to tuck more out wide, or Jesse Lingard or Mkhitaryan. If you're going to play him in there, then expect for him to come inside and play as that kind of second striker. And it definitely allowed him to kind of flourish today. I still think he's on that path to potentially just making his claim as the number 9. Zlatan didn't score today. Yeah, he played well, held up the ball. But if it comes down to it, then you need to weigh things up. Is the name of a player that you've brought in, who, is a fan favourite already, going to outweigh a player that's going to get you more goals? It's going to kind of be the forefront of the attack if he is in that position. That's something that Mourinho will not be afraid to make. I don't think he's a manager to be swayed by the business aspect of it. He sees a player that's thriving, he's going to give him his opportunity. So Wayne Rooney was dropped, that was the main thing. Not as big of a deal, I don't think, as many people are making it out to be. Whether Rooney played as bad as he did against Watford or as decent as he did against Hull, he was still coming under so much scrutiny, and he was always going to be the scapegoat in there. So I think the Manchester United's midfield did look better without him. So it's going to be a hard task for Wazza to break through. Chris Smalling came back in at centre-back alongside Bailly, stabilised things, grabbed a goal. Eric Blin played at left-back. Luke Shaw had a great start to the season, but whether his injury problems are coming back, or Mourinho, as he alluded to in a post-match press conference, isn't as happy with his defensive capabilities. So Daley Blind came in, wasn't tested as much, and Leicester City just look a shadow of their former self. Not closing down space in the midfield, obviously struggling to replace N'Golo Kante in there, giving too much time, and just really lackadaisical. There's the word. Defending cross balls, conceding one. Pogba grabbed his first goal of the season, just kind of muscled off his man and put the ball into the back of the net. Chris Smalling from header cross as well, and then from penetration and behind. Juan Mata's goal is an early claim for goal of the month, let's say. Not an early claim, a late claim, because we're coming to the end of the month. Oh my God, I'm already thinking about in October. Alright, Juan Mata's goal is a claim for goal of the weekend, because a very similar, great, well-worked goal was scored in Arsenal's game for Theo Walcott's finish. But it was great movement. Pogba involved, Mata making a run off his man, coming inside, allowing to really take advantage of being that number 10 today. And he obviously struck well to put it into the back of net. So all smiles for Manchester United, but let's get back to the reality, as I should say. United fans are either way outside reality or they're in pessimisticville. There's no rule in between, whereas I think there needs to be. Great victory over last season's champions. Is everything fixed? Hell no. You don't have a defensive midfielder still. Herrera played in there. I don't think Herrera's a natural defensive midfielder. He does well at monitoring. He's a lot more disciplined than a Fellaini and disciplined, and he's more exciting than a Carrick. You put Carrick in there, you get one end of the spectrum. You put Fellaini in there, you get the other end of the spectrum. Herrera's a good balance. But if you're coming up against maybe a Man City again with a Kevin De Bruyne floating in there, do I think Herrera's got the discipline and the defensive mind in there to solely focus on monitoring that back four the way Matic did in his Mourinho's second tenure at Chelsea, or Conte did? I don't think so. So that will be a question mark when they come up against a team, any team that has a good number 10. So I'm not firmly confident in that. But as for this day, taking it day by day, it's a good victory for Manchester United. So I'll wait until they come up against another tough opponent, a team that is going to try to exploit that gap. And as lessons have been learned in the past, you don't want to sing too soon, especially after a performance like that coming off the back of 3 straight losses at one point. So Manchester United, a thumbs up for today, but questions will be answered, as I guess, in the future. I won't just jump to conclusions. Next one, Arsenal versus Chelsea. I think the record was that Chelsea hadn't lost to Arsenal in the last 9 encounters at, I believe, the Emirates. Might not be true. Take it with a pinch of salt or a full dose of salt. Either way, there was some statistic like that floating around, but Arsenal definitely righted that wrong. Banged in 3 goals in the first half and then literally rocked Chelsea. So Gary Cahill had an apocalyptic game at the back. He was dreadful. Dreadful, right? So this is something that I've noticed about Cahill. He's so casual, right? He's either going to play the ball first time and knock it out of the park, or he's going to take his time and he'll pick a good pass because he's still decent with the ball at his feet. But there are players out there like Alexis Sanchez who are so nifty in and around your feet and so quick. And he just picked his pocket through one-on-one, allows Courtois to dive, and he just floats it over him into the back of the net. Sanchez was phenomenal. And then Arsenal's movement reminds us all why, even if we can criticise them for not having a star striker, when they're on, like they have been today, and like they have been in the past couple of games, there is no one better in the world at moving the ball in the final third. Yes, Arsenal fans, that's what it feels like to take a compliment from yours truly. They were sublime at times. Iwobi coming inside, playing the ball inside with Ozil, 1-2s, moving out wide to Bellerin, who's joining the attack, back across goal, in goes Walcott. What a goal that was. Easily alongside Mata, as I go back to maybe the goals of the weekend so far. It will take a lot to beat that tomorrow or as we go into Monday. And then they go 3-0 up. Ozil gets on the score sheet. Gary Cahill's marking is abysmal. There's 2-on-2. David Luiz goes out wide. The ball's floated in behind. Cahill's stuck in this limbo in between supporting David Luiz. When you're 2-on-2, you got to go man for man. There's no point in supporting someone because you just leave Ozil open. Gives Ozil enough room to kind of shape up. He scuffs the shot, or he meant it, bounces high into the back of the net. And Arsenal win that game comfortably. Second half, Chelsea took until the 80-plus minute to get their first shot on target. Batshuayi goes through one-on-one, doesn't finish as well as Alexis Sanchez did for a very similar chance. And Arsenal look good. They look good in this game. And again, very similar to the way I'm not going to get so over-enthusiastic with Manchester United. Manchester United's victories. There's one thing that last season has left its lasting effect on me is teams are inconsistent. Premier League's inconsistent. It's bipolar. Things will change. The only team that I'm confident in saying that the next victory is going to come after the next is Manchester City. But I think that with Arsenal, I got to give them credit where credit's due because he didn't splash the cash on a star striker. It took him a while to kind of go in and get players like Mustafi into the squad. But I think that when you see a team perform that well, even if you know that the next game it might not go the same way, you still got to be in awe of their greatness going forward. Arsenal have always been a great team to watch aesthetically when they're on point. And today they showed that. So as things sit at the top of the table, they are moving up into that position, moving up behind Manchester City and Tottenham and catching up. And I think that it's going to be, if they play like that, it's going to be exciting to see how they potentially deal with the bigger teams when they come up against the Manchester Cities, as we will see. But Arsenal proved today that they are there or thereabouts alongside everyone else that's proven that they're still going to be there or thereabouts. Still Manchester City are just hanging up above. And one thing I got to point out today that kind of upset me, don't want to ramble on too much, N'Golo Kante, for Mesut Ozil's goal, just completely gives up chasing back. It's something that I couldn't even imagine last year. Grass was afraid to grow last year when N'Golo Kante was playing, because he would just stamp out every single plate of grass, every single game. And he gave up, and he dove in. He was beaten, and it seemed like he just gave up and allowed Ozil to go through. So that was a little saddening to see. Maybe an implication as to the way things are being managed there. Antonio Conte, a little inconsistent. We shall see how it pans out. Come back to theo Sports, as always, for your Saturday or Sunday sit-down with Francis Maxwell. On Twitter, Francis_Maxwell. Instagram, Francis Maxwell. Host theo Sports on all that good stuff. And as always, as I find the stop button to make it less awkward, it's down on my screen, I will catch you guys very, where's my button? Soon. Still not stopping. Now it's stopping.